Hey guys, welcome to the Blue Collar Business Podcast, where we discuss the realest, rawest, most relevant stories and strategies behind building every corner of a blue collar business. I'm your host, Cy Kirby, and I want to help you. What it took me, trial and error, and a whole lot of money to learn. The information that no one in this industry is willing to share. Whether you're under that shade tree or have your hard hat on, let's expand your toolbox. Welcome back, guys, to another episode of the Blue Collar Business Podcast. Sponsored and brought to you today by podcastvideos.com's team here in Rogers, Arkansas. These guys, we have been with them right at a year. They have been displaying the show to you guys. They built the website you guys see, all the ads that come out and short form content. Those are built by the team here, and I can't tell you, they have transformed the message and the value of the show. I could have kept it going from my kitchen, but it would have been definitely far and few between, and I dang sure don't think we would be anywhere close to 40 episodes in. So thanks to them and their beautiful solo pod room here. I come at you guys with a remote guest, and today we're going to be diving off into the weeds a little bit. We're going to be hanging around the techie world, guys. Basically, the motto of today is going to be asking questions about getting that invoice out as fast as we possibly can so we can get our payment as fast as we can. And I have brought you guys a guest today that has been in major boardrooms before, that knows how to talk the talk and walk the walk in the technology world. And as you guys know, the blue collar working space, it's so hard to make this transition into a handwritten notepad of what I got done today to putting it in an email format, or for God's sakes, we start talking about another software. And so you guys have all fought the software battles and have had struggles, but I am passionate about what Joe is trying to do. Him and basically one other gentleman, founding partner, have been working very diligently on a company called Procured, and it's essentially to help you and me get invoices for work that we've done out the door, and everybody in between the time we take contract to the time we get paid, job is easier, is what we're trying to effectively talk about today. So furthermore, thank you so much, Joe Kaye with Procured. Thanks for being here, buddy.
Thank you, Cy. You're hired, man. That was an incredible opening speech there for us.
Hey,
Thank you so much for having me on.
40 episodes in, I'm probably getting a little seasoned, I guess you would say.
Yeah.
Shout out to a few of the podcasts I have been guesting on over the last couple of weeks. I've been doing some traveling for you guys in the audience, and I'm really excited for those to hit the market so you guys can hear me as a guest. So be looking out for that. But furthermore, Joe, thank you so much for joining us. And you're located nowhere near where I'm at. Go ahead and give us a little brief intro, who you are to the show, so we can understand.
Yeah, no, thanks again so much for having me on. I am located just around the corner from Cy here in Manhattan, New York. We're gonna figure out a way to do this in person maybe next time.
I'll come. Don't even threaten me with a good time, big dog.
Okay. Yeah. Let me know. You're welcome. You're going to have to probably share the couch though, because, we're looking at 700 square feet of an apartment here.
I've never been to Central Park, but I'll come up there and do a podcast in Central Park.
All right. That sounds awesome. But it's great to be on. Obviously, my name is Joe, the co-founder of Procured. We've been working on Procured for about a year. So I'm excited to talk about it and explain, how we got from A to B today, and a little bit more about what we do.
Freaking love it, buddy. You have a briefly off air, Joe was sharing some of his background in how he got to here, and it's so cool, I guess is the word, how podcasting brings two individuals like us from far ends of the spectrum. Our paths probably would never cross. And here we are talking about the massive problem of not just getting work done, but getting work done that you can document you've done. And talk a little bit about why you guys thought this was such a need, and maybe a few of the folks that you can see drastically need this.
Yeah. So I think like to get to that, I have to start really where this all began. And so, sorry, I'll start where this all began. So yeah, I just hit the desk here is shaky, I guess. So rewinding, I was part of this startup company. I was very, very early on at the company. I was around employee 40, 50. We grew to about, 600, 700-ish employees. I was an equity holder, and I was part of the transition of a private equity from private equity. And I received a payout for, my equity and my shares. And so I immediately called up my mom and dad, and I was like, hey, look what I just did. And then my second call was to my accountant. So I reached out to my accountant and I said, hey, Mark, what the hell should I do with all this money? Am I putting it into the stock market? Am I putting it under my pillow? Am I putting it under the mattress? Or am I, what should I be doing? And so we saw this trend of how big, private equity is in acquiring some of these smaller businesses in the space, buying up plumbers and HVACs and kind of, taking them and unifying them into one, PEO pool, if you will. And I thought, okay, that could be, I had some background, and I throughout my life, I worked in construction through high school and in college to pay, for the bar tabs. I thought, okay, let's look into this. I have a buddy who owns an HVAC business out here in the city. And I said, okay, could you help me out, figure out, what's the, do's and don'ts of the business. And so we started doing some due diligence. We signed a few NDAs. We were talking to a bunch of business owners and getting ready to acquire businesses. And this is, this process was about 5, 6, 7 months. And we were, getting ready to pull the trigger on one specifically. And then we're really starting to peel the layers back of the onion. And I'm like, hold on a second, something fishy is going on here with the finances. I need to do a little bit more due diligence. We asked, those 3rd, 4th, 5th layer questions, and, something wasn't adding up. So we pulled back, and I said, all right, I'm going to pump the brakes on this. I don't want to buy the business right now. I'm just going to sit and kind of think on what I want to do. And so I think from all of the research and all the conversations that I did and that I had, one of the big things that kept coming up was like cash flow. Cash flow is always a consistent issue with all of these businesses. And then I started to reach out to other businesses after that and think just from a perspective of like, hey, I'm just doing research. I don't want to buy the business. I'm not trying to do anything else other than just ask a couple questions. And we started to do more and more research, and I was like learning, hey, all right, it's about 50% of these guys don't know when they're going to get paid. They've got late invoices. They don't know what the heck's going on with the payments, etc. So I kind of built this idea of like, hey, what about invoicing software? What if we could create a software that could make life easier? You could invoice faster and get paid sooner. And I started doing some research, and I thought, okay, there's some competition out here, and I welcome the competition, right? If there's other sharks in the ocean, right, then that there's probably some fish there, because there wouldn't be competition in an empty pool. So
that's right.
So I'm starting to think, all right, this could be potentially a good idea. And you should see the first PowerPoint like presentation that I put together to kind of pitch my co-founder Luke on this. It looks ridiculous, and we actually joke around. We'll send it to each other every once in a while. But so I called my buddy Luke
somewhere.
up. Yeah, you got to start somewhere for sure. So I called Luke up and I said, hey, what do you think about this idea? He's like, give me a couple days. Let me see if I can figure out how I would do this and map it out. Luke is much smarter than I am type guy, and he is a genius, for lack of a better term. He calls me back in a couple hours and he's like, I can build this, no problem. So that's sort of the birth of Procured. We came up with the idea from really just connecting with a bunch of businesses. I was thinking about acquiring a business or buying into business. Found this big problem in the market. I talked to one of my buddies and I said, hey, do you think we could build this? And, it's been about a year now. And so, yeah, that's really where the idea came from.
You want to talk about an entrepreneurial spirit, my guy. Literally, it's so cool. Number one, good on you. Congratulations on number one, joining into a force, becoming a force within the force, and earning your fair share of what you know, rightfully help build. So, and then turning around and not just going and blowing it like, yeah, a large percentage of folks that I know probably would, including myself. But investment, of course, is where you're sitting here, you're looking at. And when you were talking about buying these companies, are you talking about buying skilled trades business, or was it just another tech business? I wanted to start there.
Yeah, so it was strictly a trade business. So
Really?
yeah, I was looking into, potentially being like a part owner and like going in and extending an offer to an HVAC or a plumber and being a part owner of the business. Because there's a lot of businesses that are trying to sell. Go ahead.
It's so and it's so crazy because you've got a lot of plumbers, a lot of electricians, a lot of concrete guys, steel guys, pipe guys, dirt guys. They're all listening to this. As the skilled tradesmen, the blue collars of the world, we're just out here trying to make it to Friday. Literally. You know what I mean? And so for you to sit there and say that as a guy sitting in Manhattan, worked his ass off to get where he's at, did it right, made the money, and is now sitting on it, and he's attracted in buying a blue-collar trades business because why?
I mean, it's one of the fastest growing markets in the country. It makes, I think, don't quote me on these numbers, but I think it makes 4% of the workforce in the U.S. right now. The TAM, the total addressable market of the industry, is $657 billion. I mean, this is one of the biggest industries in the world and surely in our country. And what we're seeing right now is, when we really start to look at the finite granular numbers and start to really do research and think about, let's look at the macro and micro views of this industry. We're seeing a huge shift. We're seeing those 50, 60, 70-year-old guys that are trying to get out of the business, and they're retiring. And their sons and their daughters don't want to get into the business that mom and dad owned. They want to go to college.
Statistically, they're selling these businesses because there is nobody there to take it over.
Right. Exactly. And so we're in a kind of a weird spot right now, this dichotomy of like, hey, who's going to be taking on the businesses? Like, we still need plumbers. We still need roofers. We still need HVAC guys. Still need the pavers. So, we still need people that are going to dig up septic tanks and put new ones in, right? Like, that doesn't change. So there's a massive demand right now for them. And I think, and Procured and Luke and I and our other, we hired a part-time guy as well, Shane. We're taking on the gamble and the bet that, this industry is going to grow, that there's going to be younger people that are going to get into this, and those younger folks are going to be into software. So,
man, you are so far ahead of where you guys are at, because number one, before we go any further, Joe, I just wanted to shine light to the guy that's down there in Alabama or over in Utah or up there in Ohio, working his freaking balls completely off every single day, every single Saturday. He's missing out on ball games, and he's just wondering if this is going to be worth it. And there is a Joe sitting up there looking to buy him. If what? Guys, Joe just told you what you need to have ready to go at all times, and that's them freaking financials, man. Inside accounting is huge in a business. And Joe, I'll tell him myself here, man, I didn't have the best inside accounting. Surprise, 90% of blue collars, especially within the first 5 to 10 years, don't even know what a P&L and balance sheet is. So it takes some time, but it's just encouraging to you guys, even you guys down there that are doing $1 million to $2 million worth of revenue. If you're showing 10 to 20% on that at the end of the year, a guy like Joe can't smell any fishiness coming from a CPA audited, ready to go financial statement at least once a freaking year, or how about once a quarter? And then look, you are striking on an opportunity to literally walk away, hope, or turn around and be an operations manager or whatever the case may be. But you built it from nothing. So I just wanted to encourage you guys and highlight that and not skip over that. A guy that's up there in the boardrooms of all the boardrooms living in Manhattan wants to buy you guys. And so just a little bit of encouragement there. And Joe, you're absolutely right, dude. In the next 10 to 15 years, all the boomers are going to be gone. That Gen, I think it's Gen X, or is it Gen? Yeah, Gen X.
I
after
can't keep
that.
up anymore with the.
And then you've got millennials, which is me and you. And so the service industry, I mean, if I don't know how it was up there where you went to school at, but junior high through high school, there was no shop class. They took away even shop class. And down here in the South, that was a big deal. Like, there was no zero involvement in, hey, what about a trade? What's a trade? Go to college, go to college, go to college, go to college. And I'm like, I'm not going to college, guys. Like, I didn't have trouble, dude, through school. I didn't whatsoever. I should have made more of it, 100%, but I didn't. I got some college courses done in my junior year. My senior year, I did the work program. I was gone. But if I had somebody within the high school regimen be able to go, hey, dude, this guy's got a little bit of a trades mind. Let's grab him and let's start posturing him and mentoring him so that we can line him up with a local economy guy around here. So I'm a part of that system now. Here, a couple episodes back here on the show, bluecollarbusinesspodcast.com. You can catch that with Chad Burkett and two 18-year-old graduating seniors from Tyson School of Innovation down here in Springdale. And they have their CDLs, my guy, commercial driver's license at 18 years old. They have OSHA 30, so they're hitting the market. So just a little bit of encouragement there. I thought there wasn't many programs out there as well, but there is. They're starting to really come on because it's a freaking problem. The whole premise of this show and message of this show is to highlight the blue collar working man and woman in this country and help them with resources that they need to obtain to be better at what they do so they don't give up and quit. So we do have that daggum plumber here. We do have that electrician here in the next 5 to 10 years. So just wanted to shine a little light on there, but you're absolutely right. There needs to be more focus on cash flow, financials, just financials in general. You use terms, Joe, already that I haven't hardly understood within our brief intro, but it's because you're in that world. But I could make you completely spin your head off your shoulders with,
for sure.
Our terms as well. But it's navigating where I was going with this. The other major message of this show is doing exactly what we're doing here today, is taking a white-collared individual, no offense, brother, that's the route you took in life, and a blue-collar individual, putting us together in the same room and speaking the same language so that maybe, just maybe, we help the guy or give somebody encouragement to keep the fight going. So sorry, that's a little bit of a rant there, first part of the show, but thank you seriously for shining light on these tradespeople, man, because they need it or we're not going to have anybody. And, there's not many, last thing, there's just not many folks in their early 30s with 10 or 15 years of business in the skilled trades. So we've really got to pour the gas and fire here in the next 5 to 10 years and bring awareness to this subject and for sure spotlight them. But trying to make their job just a little easier, you are 100% on a major, major pain point is cash flow. And, you electricians and plumbers, you still have your cash flow problems, but from an excavation guy, I don't know how you guys have cash flow problems because you got S10s or vans and $20,000 worth of tool in them vans. And I've got a truck full of 4 guys with $20,000 worth of tools, a $300,000 dozer, and I can just go on just to get their day done. So when you have major overhead and indirect costs like an excavation contractor compared to a plumber, how are we still dealing with the same issue? Well, it's getting that payment in the door quicker. So
Right.
I said all that to kind of give you some breezeway there into how is Procured going to help us get our invoice out with the amount of work that we're already done. We don't want to be waiting on that payment. How's it going to solve the problem, my guy?
Yeah. And I think just prefacing this, like you mentioned a couple of things there, and I think you hit on a ton of really crucial
Unpack
points.
it if you want, my guy. We got all the time in the world.
But I think, from a standpoint of, it really comes down to where the money is, right? Like as somebody that's in high school, they're thinking, oh, the plumber's not making as much money as the guy that's, trading stocks on the stock market. So I'm going to go to school and I'm going to go to finance. I'm going to get into finance, right? But I think we're actually at an inflection point where the pendulum's going to swing back and the plumbers are going to start making more when, AI takes over and there's all this other stuff going on, because robots not coming to fix, the septic tank. The robot's not coming in to replace your heater. The robot's not coming in. Well, maybe there's going to be robots to pave driveways. So pavers, watch out for that.
Maybe.
But all jokes aside, right? Like there's robots aren't going to be replacing these guys anytime soon. So we're going to see, I think, a pendulum swing. And I think these folks are going to be in the money. So to answer your question on, how we're helping. So everything is mobile, right? So we've built this software so you can do everything directly in the field. You can, I actually rode along with Quartz Plumbing. Shout out to Quartz Plumbing. They were actually the first podcast that took me on. So shout out to those guys. Thank you so much. But they let me drive in their truck for the day. I went in and I was like, hey guys, is it cool if I just drive around with you and weirdly just follow you around while you work for a full day? I need to see how your day works. And it's just, driving in, they're looking, got the flashlight going behind the tanks. They're like, oh, you need X, Y, and Z, stuff that I don't, is way past, my breadth of knowledge. And the most important thing is when you've got that client in front of you to be able to execute on the contract, right? If you've done the work, you're right there. If you let something sit, I've been in sales. If you don't get something done right away, if you don't have what we call next steps on the calendar, see you later. You're not seeing that money until they're ready to pay you.
You bet.
And so what we're able to do from a standpoint of our application and our software is to create invoices on the fly. You can say, hey, this is what I think it's going to cost. Then you do the work. Once they've approved on, hey, this is what it's going to cost, you do the work. You can send that invoice via text, via email, and they can pay directly with their credit card right away. And so the whole process should be pretty seamless. And then all that stuff maps to QuickBooks. We're looking at a couple of other accounting softwares, but as of right now, we're mapped to QuickBooks, so you can, report all of your taxes, and your accountants' lives will be a little bit easier.
And so where I'm going with this, because this is the question you guys face all the time. It's, well, yeah, I can do that from QuickBooks, or I can do that from whatever app. Like literally I can send, our transactions normally don't get paid by credit card, but at the same time, if a guy is, doing those 400 when we were starting out, dude, I can't tell you how many $300 and $400 ditches I did, you know, 10 of them in a day. And yeah, they need to all have separate addresses. They all need to have separate invoice numbers. And so, yeah, that can get pretty cumbersome. And if you don't do them right then, you're not getting the next 10 ditches done tomorrow. And so production's got to slow at some point. But literally, what makes it more unique? Is it the reporting? Is it the tracking? Is it the seamless? Is it because there's already products out there doing that? And I'm not trying to be any way, my guy, but I told I'm kind of a software challenger, especially for my audience, because
for sure
they understand where I'm at with softwares over the years.
So a couple of things about our software. First and foremost, we are a veteran-built company. My co-founder is a veteran, so we think that that's absolutely crucial. We support veterans, and we believe that it's actually 1 out of every 3 folks that are in the service space are veterans. So we thank them for their service, and we believe that that is a really important thing to support and back veteran businesses, and we think that folks that are in the service industry will care about that. So not necessarily a differentiator in product, but for sure a differentiator in like, hey, who we are as a company. I think from another standpoint, we've built this product to be incredibly simple. My father does not know how to use a computer. When he types like this. He doesn't know he doesn't know a single thing about products, and he's able to use this thing pretty much without any problems. And then the other thing is cost. The biggest, obviously, the most important thing is cost. We've leveraged our product where, and not to like, share too much of the secret sauce here, but our goal here is more so a market share grab versus like, hey, we want to grab the really big clients that are out there and charge them 20, 30, 40 grand. And that's how we're going to drive our business. We believe that the smaller businesses have sort of been forgotten when it comes to like the Service Titans and House Call Pro and some of these other guys that are out there. I forget the name that you had mentioned, but they're really complicated. There's so many bells and whistles. There's so many things going on. They're so expensive. It's $1,000 a month. And if you want to add another user, sorry, that's going to be another $150. And so we've designed this so it's not only pretty simple and easy, but from a cost perspective, it's there for the folks that are smaller. It's there for the folks that are, building their business and need products to get to that next level. And so our hope is that we can evaluate and grow our product with companies. But as of right now, we are really geared towards the smaller businesses that are out there.
So you're saying if I wanted access for my superintendents or anybody in the field to be able to send invoices, because QuickBooks is mainly managed by the admin team in-house. Like nobody gets into QuickBooks. Now, when you're first starting out, I mean, I can't tell you how many invoices I sent on QuickBooks Online sitting on that Mini X on my phone on the browser. And so, but as you scale and you've got a few crews running around, it's not as easy.
Yeah.
And it's transparency like we were talking about. Yeah, you want to be transparent, but there's some things that they just don't need to see. So you don't want them sending it from QuickBooks. But if you're a high transaction, high volume based water heaters and plumbers, service calls, etc., you guys think about it, how much easier it would be that superintendent is sitting out there in the field. And I think you're hitting the nail on the head, is gearing it for those guys in the field, because those guys don't do Excel. Now, I agree with you that the new age guy like myself, that late 20s, early 30s, or hell, even early 20s especially, is going to have a better chance. But the guys that have been in the game a little bit is what I'm trying to say, the 5, 6 to 7 year company history, and they're sitting there really questioning themselves after a few years of maybe bad years or a really good year, and then a bad year, and they can't figure things out. And it's these small pain points that at the end of the day, once you start sitting down and you think you have 25 problems, no, you have one problem and 25 repercussions from that one problem. And you keep band-aiding the 25 things instead of just moving all that crap, finding out what the root of the problem is, finding and researching before you just jump in bed, because I have done that before. Procured and a couple other companies, and thought that was the magical solution to all these problems. Though I'm going to find one product and fix 17 problems. And it's just not. You need to have some strategy. You need to have some planning. So if Procured sits here and goes straight into QuickBooks, somebody, it's along the lines of the text message is so cool. Number one. And how is it displayed to the customers? Is it in a professional format, I would assume?
Yeah, so you can add your information on it, right? So like you've got your logo, your contents on there. It's a standard invoice, but yeah, it's in a professional tone for sure, right? I think the other thing to note too is you had mentioned like, hey, we don't need everybody inside of our QuickBooks. Like we don't need people seeing the bottom dollars, right? We don't want everybody to know how much revenue we made in 2022 and 2023 and so on. We have the ability in our software to create admin levels and then users. So certain folks won't have access to the admin aspects of the business, which I think is another really important feature, because you don't want people to see all the, especially if you're just like, imagine you hire somebody and they're working for you for 2 months. You don't know them that well. Even 6 months, right? And then all of a sudden you're like, hey, here's all my financials. No, that's not what you want. So, we've built it so there's layers and levels to it for sure.
Talking just real quick. Well, before I hop on that subject train and that matter, I want to shout out my guys, Blue Collar Performance Marketing. They have been extremely valuable in what SciCon, Blue Collar Business Podcast, everything behind the scenes, how we're getting out in front of you guys has been behind the scenes, strategically planning, as I'm sitting here talking about with Joe. Literally, he sits down once bi-weekly with my content team, and we see how the roadmap's going, where'd we fail, what's doing good, what's not doing good. He's been working and tweaking on my website. I'm telling you guys, if you want a comprehensive free look at your marketing campaign or program at your blue collar or skilled trade service based company, give them a shout at bcperformancemarketing.com/blue collar podcast. Shoot them an email. They'll hop on a discovery call with you and give you a full broadband overview of where you may be doing good, you may not be doing anything, and where you may just be flat missing the mark. So get with Ike and the team and they'll get you hooked up. All right. But from there, my guy, Joe, I want to talk about replacing it. I literally was talking to a member of our YouTube channel, and the members behind the scenes, if they get a little bit more juicy content, I guess you would say, more real, raw content, the things that I can't put out there just for everybody, insurance, bonding, the customers essentially and clients and everybody that's viewing everything that you're putting out there. And if you guys don't think they are, you're freaking crazy, because they are. First thing they do is they're Googling your butt. So spin around, talk to these guys. This certain individual, I think, is great for this conversation. He's 28 years old. He's been with this gentleman 6 years. This gentleman's 61 years old, who's the current owner of the company, and they are working out an agreement to basically him take over the business. Yeah. And so he's sitting there as acting owner with little to no power. So he's reaching out to me, obviously. Hey, man, he's got a ginormous job going. Georgia is where this is at.
Cool.
And he's asking me, and I just start real simple about time tracking and job costing. And, hey, man, what are we doing for the guys' time? Well, time sheets. I'm like, okay. No judgment there. I was there myself. First thing we got to do is we got to get them on a time tracking app. You have to for the size job. But where I'm going with this is that he expressed to me that he has been researching this stuff as a new age donor, knowing obviously with all the amount of content surrounding these said issues, he knows for a fact that it needs to be done. But then you've got working 60-year-old owner who's not really in it, kind of checked out, done with it, burnout, but won't let him necessarily make these calls. So replacing those clipboards and spreadsheets with these mobile-friendly workflows, just in general. Talk about the, Quartz Plumbing and see some of the success that they've had, et cetera. How do we get from there to where we're talking about now, even with the non-techie folks?
So I think, you have to adopt technology. It really, it's at the end of the day, it's as simple as that. And I think that's the question you're asking me, is like, hey, how do you get a little bit bigger from being smaller? Is that the question, or is it?
Yes, great way of putting it, brother.
Yeah. So I mean, I think, first and foremost, technology is your friend. It's an unfortunate, circumstance. I actually don't have any social media myself, no personal social media. I'm not a big tech guy. I don't like to spend a lot of time in front of the computer. As a matter of fact, like 9:30, 10 o'clock, if I'm not super busy with stuff, all screens are shut off in this house. And so from my standpoint, I hear where people are coming from. I hear it's just like pain in the ass. You don't want to be in the phone. You don't want to be doing this. Unfortunately, it's just the way you got to do it. So over the course of like the last 12 months to maybe even 18 months, as I've been building this and creating this company, I've done this rule with myself where I have to meet with one founder every single week. I have to go out. I write people on LinkedIn. I will, poke at friends to say, hey, can you introduce me to this guy? Can you introduce me to that gal? And try to just get in front of people and pick their brains. And I've been doing that for a really, really long time. And I've gotten a ton of incredible advice. And I've met with private equity guys and CEOs of $30 million companies, $150 million companies. I've sat in rooms with guys, that are billionaires. And one thing that was pretty common and pretty funny to me is you don't really start your business until you get your first lawsuit. And one of the funny things that kind of comes from that is that if you don't have your ducks in a row, you're going to lose that battle 10 out of 10 times. And so, I think from a standpoint of getting your ducks in a row, it's about making sure that you've built the foundation to scale and build the house, and make sure that your ducks are in a row from not only a standpoint of the foundation, but also all the stuff that you need to track time, track invoicing, how much money you've made this month, this quarter, so you can actually figure out your cash flow. Can you hire additional people? Is it a possibility? Is there a possibility that you won't be able to pay Joe out on Monday because you don't have cash flow? Those things are really important. And if you don't figure that out early on, then you're setting yourself up for failure in the future.
Dude, it's you and here's the problem. I'll let you in on a little bit about the skilled trades and the blue collar working world. From my experiences, these guys work so hard in the business.
Yeah.
And they don't even know how to start working on the business, let alone enjoy it, let alone know where to start. I mean, you may be completely talking a foreign language to a lot of these guys that are listening today. So, maybe just like my YouTube member I was speaking about, where do these guys start coming from, the tech side of the world? And where do these guys start if they have never had any experience with the tech world? And, maybe it is that old head, 55, 65-year-old man that is trying his hardest to obtain some of this knowledge. Where can he start? Or maybe the entrepreneur that's sitting there trying to go, oh man, I am too old at this. How do I go ahead and get into this game? Where does he start?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, I think we in 2025, we've got the most information at our fingertips than ever before. You go on YouTube, watch a couple videos, do some research. You can buy book. You can have a book on your front doorstep 2 days from now if you go on Amazon. I think it's all about education and educating yourself. If for example, like before I was doing this and I had no idea, about the massive problem of cash flow, of invoicing in this blue collar space, I was doing a ton of research. I was reading books. I was going on and I was finding podcasts to listen to, podcasts like this one, right? Like where you come on and you hear about, hey, this is a problem I'm having and this is what we're talking about. And then all of a sudden things start to click. It's all about educating yourself. And I know it can be like very cumbersome at first and you're like a little nervous about kind of jumping into a pool that you don't know how to swim in. But it's absolutely crucial that you figure out how to educate yourself. And it's so available. It's YouTube's, it's download if you're curious about, hey, I don't know how like some of these apps work, go and download it and try to use it. I think like, there's no silver bullet to this side. It's just like, it's about educating yourself and trying to do so through some of the different, things that we have available. So books and YouTube, I think were huge for me. And then I think a lot of people are afraid to reach out and ask. And it's really that simple. I mean, like I'm reaching out to people that I don't even know. I'm like, hey, this is what I'm doing. I would love to pick your brain for 15 minutes. Can we do that?
Yep.
And it's crazy how receptive people are. And And sure, you're going to have some people, like I've had some bad phone calls. Like I've had some weird, awkward interactions for sure. There's people that are incredibly rude to me. There's people that are like, hey, well, you're wasting my time, Sure. But you got to kind of just take that and move on. There's a saying that I've got actually stamped to my wall, and it's make it a great day or don't. The choice is yours.
Gotta win the day, baby.
Gotta win the day. Beat the devil back, get up early, and just keep moving forward.
He's waiting for you as soon as you crest over that threshold at 6 o'clock in the morning, big dog.
Oh, yeah.
Man, it took me a long time because, as I can go off on that subject for forever, but literally just some encouragement for you guys today. Winning the day. You've got one set of folks asking you about 6 months to a year from now. You got another folks sitting over here. What's your 5-year plan? You got another set of folks going, hey, I need this right now or we're never going to get this job done. You have all these people asking you all these time concept questions. Just win the day. That's all you can do sometimes. And then guess what? Some of them string together and you're like, hey, what's going on here? But again, like Jocko says, nothing changes if nothing changes, man. And you've got to start the change, and educating yourself is a great answer to that. I mean, we can go off into a whole different scary 2 letters of AI and what's going to come of that. But ChatGPT will do half the Excel building for you now. Like literally,
right. I didn't even mention that. Yeah.
I'm not even an Excel. I know, because it's scary. It's scary to those old guys. You know what I mean? Older,
sure.
I shouldn't say old, but older generation guys that didn't grow up with this technology. And, our generation, we can remember when computers were getting integrated into schools, by the masses and like figuring it out. And now these kids are literally learning how to embrace AI at the high school education level. It's insane, dude. But like these kids are so smart. They're just having ChatGPT do everything, and not just that one specific AI, but that's the one I utilize most, right? But I am so uneducated in that world, trying to slowly, like literally trying to figure out how to utilize AI in smaller tools. Like I'm going to blow somebody's mind today, but you can put a set of PDF civil documents into ChatGPT if you pay for Plus, and it will literally give you a approximate quantification of water, sewer, gas, electric, whatever you're trying to take off. I hope I helped somebody with that today, because I just found that out myself this week and just playing around with it. Literally at work, I'm like running some Excel, trying to build some sheets because I'm not an Excel guy, but the folks on my team, that's how they read and recept information. So I'm trying to meet their, requirements of how their brain works and ticks, and because they do the same thing for me. So, hey, ChatGPT, here's my information, throw this in with these columns and these categories, and this is how it needs to be shown. 2 minutes later, export it in PDF and shoot it to them. And people are like, what did you just do? And I'm like, I literally just bought 15 minutes of my life back is what I did. Anytime as an entrepreneur, we can buy time. Anyways, going off on the AI train, that's not what we're talking about today, guys.
Good.
But literally, buddy, I truly appreciate you coming on here and having focused. And founder is Luke, right? The other founder is Luke.
Co-founder is Luke.
Shout out to Luke. Thank you so much for your service, my guy. Truly need more minds focused on this issue, the awareness of the blue collars dwindling, and we're not making it any easier on them, and we need some help here. So I encourage you guys for sure to keep this thing going. Look forward to hearing more about it. But one last question here before we end the show, my guy. I ask every single guest, whether you're white collar, blue collar, I don't care. I need to know, and you kind of hit it on the nail on the head. I think I already know your answer already, but the blue collar worker who is just sitting there being stuck in the mud, or even, you know what, the white collar, let's step out there because you grew up in that, like you came through that world in corporate world. I could only imagine, yes, we probably don't have as many folks listening in that world, but sitting in that office chair trying to get 8 to 5, or that blue collar guy who is just mentally, emotionally, physically, they're just stuck in the mud and they don't know how to get up and do it again. Talk to them for just a minute, Joe.
Yeah. So first and foremost, I feel you. We've been there, man. Trust me. There's good days and there's bad days, but it's really like a choice. I think like everything's a learning experience. And if you're not taking that negatives and flipping it and saying, hey, damn, I just learned a really, really great lesson here. Then you're missing out. I think like, you gotta want it. You have to want it. And that is like a big piece of this. As I've gotten older, I've learned that there are people that just simply don't want it as much as me or as others. And like, you'll see it. And if you want it more, you'll see it too. Like you'll be able to see that there's a massive difference. But I think like if you get up a little bit earlier, you can figure out a way to kind of make the day a little bit better. Good things will come. And I can't remember what the actual term or the actual like phrase is, but it's like hardworking people are luckier, right? Is ultimately the takeaway from it. And you can create your own luck by just busting your butt a little bit harder. And there's light at the end of the tunnel for sure. So just keep going.
You know what? I just to add to that just a little bit, nobody's coming to save you guys. Like,
oh yeah,
literally just the next day's the next day. Yesterday is yesterday, and we're never going to talk about it unless you want to talk about it. So make today a different day. Make tomorrow a different day. Get up just a little bit earlier. You're right, Joe. That's a lot of it. I used to try and sleep in right till the bell would ring off, and now I'm up 30, 45 minutes before my alarm, getting things done so I can have a little bit of time to do this or that, just before I head out with the kids or whatever the case may be. But I try and be very, what would be the word, intentional with my time. And it has changed a lot in my life over the last 3-4 years. Not wasting time on people that don't need to waste my time or theirs. And, but also too, being more intentional about the people that do need my time to hopefully help them out of those moments. So, Joe, for sure. I really appreciate you for coming on, my guy, with Procured. So check them out. Where can we find you guys?
Yeah, so we're in the process actually of changing the website over from getprocured.us to procured.us. So soon you'll find us at Procured, PROCURED.us, but right now it is at getprocured.us. You can reach me at Joseph, JOSEPH, at procured.us. And reach out to me if you've got questions, comments, concerns. I'm more than happy to address them as they come through.
It sounds like Joe would also take some research from anybody that's willing to give it to him.
Absolutely. Yeah. So feel free to reach out to me. I would love an opportunity to connect with you and learn a little bit more about your business, see where Procured can fit.
I'm just saying, one other thing. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, because when you were saying about the, how can you get a little bit bigger, stronger, faster, tomorrow? One of the big things that I forgot to mention, and you kind of had said it, but like I write down my goals every single morning. Every single morning, I get a new sheet of paper, rip it off, new set of goals. It's time to finish and complete those goals and those tasks. So I think that that's a massive thing that a lot of folks don't do. And when something's written down, I think it's 36% higher chance of it getting done. So write down your goals and wake up at 5:30 instead of 6. And I promise that you'll see a difference.
That's right, my guy. That is right. No, dude, I really appreciate you shining light on vets, veteran-owned businesses. Shout out to them across the entire world or entire country. And I really appreciate you guys shining light on a massive problem within our industry, and keep after it, my guy. It's good things coming.
Yeah, for sure. The light at the end of the tunnel is coming for Procured. And not that we're in the tunnel. I feel like we're kind of out in the pastures right now, enjoying the sun. So feel free to reach out to me if you've got any questions, comments, concerns, as I mentioned, at joseph@procured.us, because we'd be happy to start those conversations. But thank you so
Guys,
much,
till
Zach.
next time. I really, really, really appreciate Joe coming on. And till next time, guys, you guys be safe, be kind, be humble. If you've enjoyed this episode, be sure to give it a like, share it with the fellers, check out our website to send us any questions and comments about your experience in the blue collar business. Who do you want to hear from? Send them our way and we'll do our best to answer any questions you may have. Till next time, guys.